We are back. That was Oscar Sheboy with our insider. I'm doing air quotes, insider, Jeff Goodman. So Kentucky, I think we all agree, is going to, at the very minimum, be one of the favorites. The other team that I think belongs at the very top in that conversation, Tio, we talked about this a little bit earlier today on the DTF podcast. Tennessee, great guards. They have a lot of guys that can really defend. They have a big guy in Olivier Kamwa that can stretch the floor, and they also have a big guy in Uros Plavsic that can just take up space. They have, I think, everything that you want out of a team, and we just saw them handle. I think they gave Gonzaga 30, right? They put a 30 piece on them in that exhibition. So, Tio, what makes your Tennessee Vols, and yes, I'm saying your Tennessee Vols because you sang good old Rocky Top to us earlier today. What makes them so good and so underrated this season?
All right, so back up to the point why I was singing Rocky Top. That was part of my curriculum in elementary school, Patrick, because I grew up in Tennessee. So we had to learn the words to Rocky Top. So let me just half bear, the other half cat, all that stuff. Had to learn it, or you got to be in music. You got to be in music. Can't have that. This Tennessee team's got a lot of talent. There's a lot of pieces there. Like you look at position by position. Zakai Ziegler. Barnes has always been great with small guards. You look at throughout his coaching career. Back at Clemson, he had Terrell McIntyre, who some people don't know who that is. He's a European legend, so I know Pat knows who he is. You look at their two positions. Santiago Vescovi hit 111 or had 111 assists, over 100 threes. Only the second Tennessee Volunteer to have more than 100 threes. First one was Chris Lofton. He was pretty good while he was there. Then you look at Julian Phillips, super talented, 6'8", 6'9", real rangy, could do a lot of different things positionally. And I think the guy who could step up and have a huge year for this Volunteer team, Olivier Kamwa, did I pronounce that right? Mm-hmm. Olivier Kamwa, this guy is talented. And I think he was held back a little bit last season because I think Rick Barnes trusted John Fulkerson so much, and there's nothing wrong with that. But I also think that Kamwa is a lot more talented. He can stretch the floor out. He can make some more decisions. He's a little bit more athletic. Now, is he the decision maker that Fulkerson was? Probably not. But at the same time, you just add more pieces to that puzzle. And guys, there's just more and more. Josiah Jordan-James, JJJ, defender, multi-positional, jack of all trades kind of guy. He does a lot of good things for your team. The pieces are there, and now they have a bucket off the bench. Tyreek Key sat out last year, had an injury, comes back home. He's from Salina, Tennessee. He never averaged less than 14 points a game. I think he averaged 18 the last year that he played at Indiana State. Comes in and was terrific against Gonzaga and shows right out of the gate that, hey, man, I could score. I'm a professional scorer somewhere. I'm not sure where, but somewhere that dude's going to get paid to get buckets. There is depth on this team. Their size. They're tough as ever because Rick Barnes makes them that way. Tennessee, and they're old. So throw in that, and then you have the elite talent with Julian Phillips. It's a good team, and they're old. They know how to play. They've been together. There's no reason why they can't win it. It's just there's a couple other teams in the way. Say it, Gator. Say it, Gator.
I almost came through the screen and smacked you when you're talking about John Fulkerson. And look, I love Folky. I like him a lot. But Folky. I thought he hurt the team. And it was public knowledge. Coach Barnes challenged him multiple times last year because I'm like, dude, you're fifth year, sixth year guy that's been in this program. There's no reason you should put up a goose egg on rebounds and points and effectiveness. And it was just driving me crazy because I've been a guy that's been in the system for a long time. But the only question mark I'll have in regards to this Tennessee team, which I love a lot, Zakai Ziegler at one point in the season last year was the best player on the floor with his ability to take care of the ball and knock down the three, his toughness at his size. I hope that this team can be as good defensively as it was last year. You look at them in the SEC tournament, they smothered everyone. It wasn't even a game. And you just hope, a lesson that I had to learn after my junior year going into my senior year, we had one of the best defenses in the country. But you have to understand, just because you did something the year before doesn't mean it's just automatically going to happen. But I trust so much in Rick Barnes and in what he's built. He's a winner. Obviously, the questions come to in tournament play. They ran into a tough Michigan team last year. I was heartbroken. I'm a big fan of Kennedy Chandler. It was tough for me to see them lose because I just was so high on that Tennessee team last year with how well they were playing together. But Santiago Vescovi, he was neutralized in that Michigan game. They didn't have Olivier Kamwa. Hopefully he's coming back fully healthy coming into this season. I love Josiah Jordan James. He really started coming into himself at the end of last season. His ability to stretch the floor. Julian Phillips, and hey, I'm saying it because I watched some highlights. He's got a pretty jump shot that looks a little bit like Jabari's. I'm not gonna lie to you. His jump shot looks really good. I'm not saying he's to that level of Jabari Smith, but his jump shot looks pure. Something I can only attest to witnessing. I've never done it myself, had a pure jump shot. But Tennessee, they're a team that can do it. And I think it's going to come from their defense. They're going to shoot a lot of threes, hoping that Plavsic makes a jump. I like him a lot, the big tough guy. But yeah, this is another really good Rick Barnes Tennessee squad. I don't know if they have enough to beat Kentucky on the road or neutral site, but the way that they handed that big fat L to them at home last year, sheesh.
Are you guys worried about them on the offensive end? Because if there's one thing, if you kind of look through the starting lineup that they have, I don't know if I fully trust Zakai as a scorer. I don't know if I'm on the bandwagon of saying that JJJ is what you need out of an offensive weapon at this point. Julian's a freshman. Freshman stepping into the SEC is never going to be an easy thing to do. I think Tyreek coming off the bench, Tyreek Key coming off the bench is the kind of offense that you need. And the idea of this team kind of going 5 out and spacing the floor is appealing to me, but I can see a world where they struggle to get buckets. Are either of you guys worried about that this season?
Oh, they've gone cold. They went cold a few times last year. It's going to happen. It's going to happen to every team. That's just how seasons go. You're going to have a few games, but overall, I think the energy that they bring on the defensive end, especially with the veteran leadership that you have of Santiago Vescovi and JoJo James, I don't think it's going to be difficult for this team to stay in the high 60s, 70s throughout the season. They shouldn't have too many issues scoring the ball. I like the fact that Julian Phillips is a guy that comes off screens. It can be that kind of guy at 6'8", but even if they their offense doesn't travel, their defense certainly does. With how they turned it up last year, that second half of the season, if they could have had it at the beginning of the year, I think they could have won the whole thing, the SEC at least.
T.O.'s been hyping up Julian Phillips so much.
I coached him, and I know what all he could do. Like when you're playing a video game and you're like, I don't know how in the world I made that shot. It just happened.
Yes.
That's how Julian Phillips finishes around the rim. It's like, I don't know how I did it. I don't know that I can practice it or ever do it again, but I just find ways to do it. Like, he's unreal when it comes to some of those things. Keep in mind, too, this Tennessee team shot 36.8% from 3 last year. And that included that atrocious game at Madison Square Garden that we all got to witness.
1 for 40 or something like that.
I can't remember what.
Who they don't need to talk about that, man. I get PTSD just thinking about it.
Who was it?
Texas Tech and Tennessee. It was 39-39 at the end of regulation.
Brutal game. That all being said, shot making is contagious. And the fact that Tyreek Key is going to come off the bench and he could kind of be that spark plug that when things aren't going so well, he can produce a shot, right? And I'm sitting here looking at this Tennessee team and their depth. Zakai Ziegler's Vescovi start at the 1 and 2. Zakai comes off the floor, slide Vescovi to the 1, then you got Tyreek Key. At the 4 and the 5 position, you have Uros Plavsic and you have Jonas Adu coming up, who, by the way, Adu is really talented. He doesn't play hard all the time. It's been an issue for Barnes, but he comes right in against Gonzaga, hits a trail 3, and he's capable of that too. Like, these guys have a lot of bodies. They're tough, they're physical. And Jemima Shack, he showed a few things against Gonzaga as well. Just kind of an extra guy that can guard and throw a different wrinkle at you. Yep. I love that. They're deep, they're good, and then they can throw lineup versatility at you as well. I think that's a big piece.
All right, I'm gonna pause it there because we do have a bold prediction section later on, and I think that Tennessee is going to be involved in some of those bold predictions.